Hello there, welcome to the Bardo podcast. How do you stay human in a world that is constantly pushing you towards fear, certainty, and overwhelm? Today I'm joined by the comedian and clown Lawrence Dodd to talk about comedy, Buddhism, political despair, neurodivergence, and why not knowing might actually be a kind of freedom. My name's Marc Salmon, I'm a comedian and a practicing Buddhist who needs a lot of practice. This is a podcast about comedy, spirituality, and trying to think a little bit more clearly in confusing and ridiculous times. Lawrence Dodd is an alternative comedian and clown who blends existentialism with comedy, performance art, vulnerability. He's an extremely open-hearted, sensitive and thoughtful guy. I'm very glad to know him. His new show, This Can't Be It, I've seen it a couple of times. It's going to be debuting at the Edinburgh Fringe. It's excellent. It's hilarious. It's beautiful, sensitive, everything you expect from Lawrence. It's an open-hearted exploration into mystery and how to stay open when things feel like they're closing down. In this episode, we talk about sobriety, clowning, spirituality, overwhelm, identity and community, neurodivergence, play, lightness, uncertainty, lots and lots of stuff. It's a really, really good episode, I think. And if you want to see Lawrence as well, he is doing a show at Brighton Fringe on May the 24th. And also a big one at Soho Theatre on June the 4th. I strongly recommend you go check him out live. So let's sit back, relax, and float downstream as we enter the Bardo.
I've actually been feeling quite consumed with do we want to get straight into Epstein?
Let's jump in with Epstein.
Yeah. No, I've just been I think I've just been a bit consumed with all this stuff that's been coming out. But I have a tendency to be just when I'm at home I've been trying to work on my show.
Yeah.
I find myself being more preoccupied with Instagram and just even if I've put something on there, that's checking to see how it's doing, and then I end up just getting sucked into the vortex of whatever it is that is going on.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff that's been coming out in the last few days, it's just been and my algorithms then just sort of drawing me into that kind of world of, well, I would say conspiracy theory, but now I don't even know.
Yeah.
What that means. Sense of I think I'm constantly feeling a bit disassociated from the world in terms of the world that is represented to me. I never really know what my position is in relation to it because I don't really know I know that I shouldn't trust what I'm being told.
Yeah.
So it leaves you open.
Yeah.
And in one way, that's beautiful, right? Because you feel more connected to the real things. But then also, it means that you're, I don't know, it's confusing, and it's also hard to take a strong, solid position in relation.
Well, you should probably be against the island. That's the position you should take.
Yeah, it's but it's actually affected me on a kind of I had a. Yeah, I'm going to overshare.
Yeah, go for it.
I was making love.
Yeah, okay.
And it came up in my mind.
Did you say it?
Afterwards.
Did you incorporate it into the dirty talk?
just it just for a split second.
You just thought of
just
Epstein.
the kind of these grotesque images.
Yeah.
That have been kind of building, circling in my mind. For a moment, suddenly, I just felt that disgust, and I just sort of moved on.
Yeah.
But so it's this told me this me exposing myself to this is actually really having an impact on me.
Yes, that makes sense. It's quite traumatic.
Yeah.
There's no way we should become acclimatized to the fact that there's paedophile island and all this stuff.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's a fine line between becoming desensitized.
Yeah.
And it feels sometimes as though it doesn't. Things get more and more extreme in our moment we're living in, and people somehow are becoming less and less shocked by what they hear. And but absolutely, like feeling like you can. I think it's so important to be able to connect to like the pain and the grief, for example, of like, you know, a genocide that's happened. Like, how do I relate to that? And like, my part of me wants to, in my like a survival part of me wants to just not think about it, but like to actually allow yourself to feel the pain of that, and for that not to be overwhelming feels like vital, like to in order to have like a like human response, you know, and which could turn into action in some way, you know. I think when I was younger, I used to be involved in a lot of activism, and a lot of the impulse of that was coming from anger, I think, and a lot of that anger was to do with this and what was going on in the world, but some of that was also just, I think, my anger, my frustration that probably comes from my early years, and so finding a different kind of way of responding to political events, which comes from love and compassion, but also maybe leads to like real action. Is something that I'm interested in exploring and thinking about.
I could see that in your last time I saw your show. You got someone to feed you chocolate. So I can see the connection.
Absolutely.
You said the words, I quote, "Chocky chocky." I like chocky.
That's right. Yeah.
And you got someone to feed you chocolate.
Yeah.
Remember? No, sorry, I'm
really glad you read the subtext to that.
Yeah, that was the subtext. Now I'm paranoid that it's going to pop in next time I'm making love as an intrusive form. Do you get that a lot? Does that happen a lot?
Well, intrusive thoughts when I'm having sex?
No, just intrusive thoughts. I get them.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And that can spiral.
Oh,
sometimes.
Yeah.
I've had to kind of find ways to ground myself in, again, like what is real? What can I trust?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that might just be like my physical experience.
Yeah, feet on the ground.
Yeah. Just something that kind of grounds me so that I don't get lost in, you know, because you can spiral in all kinds of weird little pockets of your mind and get lost there.
Yeah.
You know, and I have done in the past, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're feeling anxiety and fear and terror at the world, then it can go to quite like scary places. Yeah.
It's just like how I think this. You're totally right. The question is, what is an appropriate response to this madness?
Yeah.
This madness that we're in.
Exactly. Madness is it? Yeah.
Maybe we'll wrestle with that a little bit as we go through and try and figure out what the. I don't even know. I don't even know where to start.
I think, you know, that Terence McKenna, really famous, he's like, things are going to get really weird.
Oh, yeah. The time wave zero, he said that, we're going to hit some singularity and novelty would increase.
That's right. Yeah.
It does feel right a little bit.
It does. It does.
Yeah. I like Terence McKenna sometimes.
Me too. But
culture is not your friend.
Yeah. Oh, your impression's better than mine.
No, it isn't. No. Who can I do? I can do Slavoj Žižek.
Okay, please.
Yeah, he's just sort of like...
There's a lot of sniffing.
He's like... The fetishistic scopophilia of the female body is a cocaine. I need cocaine. That's kind of my impression of him.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Noam Chomsky... Let's leave him. Let's leave him. I think what we're touching on, right, is that it's like, how the hell are we supposed to live ethically?
Yeah.
How do we respond? How do we live creatively in a world that's like, you know, and the world has always been in chaos.
Yeah.
There's always chaos. But it's just, maybe it's being revealed to a lot of people at the moment, the level of like depravity and the level of power.
Yeah.
And the complete inequality in the world, and it's like, how do you live with that as a creative process, as an individual human, collectively?
Yeah.
You know, maybe we could talk a little bit how we know each other, and like you were talking about like having shared spaces. You felt like there were many shared spaces between us.
Yeah, it seems like it. When we first met, I was quite struck because like I don't always feel totally at home in comedy.
Right, why is that?
Especially when I started, I think. I don't know, I just felt like I didn't always guess I started like late. I was like 34
Yeah.
and had done different things with my life, and and comedy was something that was like yeah, like something I was always interested in, but like I don't know, I why was that? I guess it was like, yeah, I came into comedy having been involved in a lot of like political stuff, been involved in like Buddhist spaces.
Yeah.
I've been in a band. I'd been
You're a drummer, right?
yeah.
Me too.
Oh
Did
yeah.
you know that?
I didn't. I knew that
Oh,
you played
right.
guitar
Yeah,
because someone
yeah.
told me you have a nice voice.
No.
Well, we can find out at the end of the podcast when we
Yeah,
do
when
the
we do our
song.
song and dance together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I just had different things going on in my life, I suppose,
Yeah.
and then and thought to myself, I guess, partly out of therapy, I was like, this is something I've always wanted to do, is to do comedy. And I suddenly had the confidence to do it. But also, I guess I thought, there's things I want to communicate through my art in some way.
Yeah.
And so when I started doing it, I was doing the open mic scene in like in the north, and like in Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester, and like Yorkshire, and I wasn't meeting many people
Yeah.
on that scene.
What sort of stuff was you doing when you started out?
It's kind of like meandering, I guess quite existential right from the off.
Yeah.
I think that was what I was like, I want to try to articulate
Yeah.
that my experience of reality, which is weird, and I find it strange that no one really questions like just the fact that we're here at all. Like, what's
Yeah.
that even about?
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
can we talk about that? So it was that's where I started.
Yeah.
And so I did quite a lot of my first 20 gigs were just sort of like weirding people out.
Are you a small talker? Because you seems like you jump straight in with big talk.
I'm just
You
the big,
like the big talk.
I like the big talk.
Yeah.
I think I know how to. No, I want to make a connection. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to talk about what's real, and I feel like it's obvious when I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And I think comedy is liberating in that sense, because you can like, you're given permission to just jump straight into being like, this is what matters to me. This is how I see things.
Yeah.
And you don't have to dance around in kind of niceties or like these kind of conventions of like what is appropriate, or at least that's how I've come to it.
Yeah.
And I find that liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're starting out, right? You're in Sheffield, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're doing sort of open mics up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And how's it going? Is it going all right?
My first gig ever
Yeah.
was in Manchester.
Okay.
And it was at the end of like a showcase.
Yeah.
And okay, the showcase gigs are always a bit kind of like, they don't necessarily represent what open mic gigs are like normally, but
Yeah.
it was just so much fun, and I felt very loose. And I remember there were some people having like it was like in a pub,
Yeah.
and some people were having like a Sunday roast, like the stage was here and it was here, and
Yeah.
and
Did they know comedy was happening?
they knew the comedy was happening,
Oh,
but they also
okay.
just hadn't obviously
Because I've done
eaten.
gigs like
So
that.
they were,
Right, yeah.
they were eating it like right there, and then it just became a game that I just created straight off the bat, just and I think it just made me feel, at the end of the gig, I just felt like, I know it's a cliche when people say this, but I was just like, it just felt so good, it felt so right. And I felt like, in a way, I've been doing this for a long time, even though I just started.
Yeah.
So it kind of like went from there, and then I had like a series of gigs where it was like, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, of course.
But
Yeah.
there was something about finding this expression that in some way felt like there was a kind of established channel for me to communicate through that felt very like familiar and right.
Yeah. How do you find it? So what were you doing before? You said you was community organizer, weren't you?
Yeah. I was working in Yorkshire for like 5 years.
Yeah.
In different communities and doing a lot of facilitation. We're doing a lot of stuff in front of people, like facilitating groups, bringing people together, like speaking in front of groups, like to, I don't know, like in a kind of campaign situation. So I was kind of used to that. And then when I was in a band, for about 8-9 years, and then I sort of found something about performing. We were sort of like not improvised, but there was like it was sort of semi-improvised what we did.
Yeah. What was the music?
sort of like, I don't know, post-punk. Started as like a post-punk
Yeah.
band, and then we kind of got a bit more experimental and
It's
more
punk funk.
funk, and then
Funk.
funkadelic, and then funky, just super freaky funk. and like yeah, it was just an opportunity for me. I think that experience of like going on a stage and being
Yeah.
like, I'm terrified, and then going on, and then realizing over time that like, oh, something happens when you get on stage, like
Right.
something kicks in, and you're no longer something changes in you, and you can channel that.
Funk comes out.
You give the funk.
You lift the funk.
You share the funk.
Like
Yeah.
the stage takes over.
Well, I think it's just like that the event,
Yeah.
the what's going on in the room with everyone.
Yeah.
That something comes through, and you can kind of just like surrender to that.
Yeah.
And I used to love being on stage and performing.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like animalistic, and
That's great.
so I think that was where I was like, I suddenly thought, oh, I could not consciously,
Yeah.
but I think when it got to me doing comedy, I was like already primed
Yeah.
for like getting on stage, knowing that like something will happen, and I can trust it, you know.
Nice. Just
Yeah,
started with trust.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Most of us start with I guess was you always a clown? Did you consider yourself, did you know what you were doing?
No.
You just went up.
No, I mean there was no, but there was always clown elements. But
Yeah.
I'd heard that people did clowning.
Oh, okay.
So I think quite soon, it was less than a year before I did my first clown workshop. But it was like there was always a kind of messy quality. It was my first set was it wasn't stand up per se. It was like there's never been any jokes. And I'm actually getting back into writing now. I had a period of like basically I had a realization about a year ago that was like, oh, I can go on stage and have nothing to do, maybe one rule or something.
Yes.
And then see what happens. And as I kept doing that, I started to feel like I can trust that I'll be able to discover things when I'm on stage.
Great.
But it meant that I stopped writing, you know, and that writing would just happen on stage. I'd record it, look back what worked, and I'd sort of bank it. And like, and so now I did the Soho Labs with Josh Glantz, who lives in this house now.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Sorry, a bit of a peek behind the curtain.
Please delete that. Yeah. I don't want anyone knowing I live with that guy. Yeah.
But he helped me to think about like how to write as a clown, I guess, in a way that's still alive and open to the moment, but knowing that there are kind of beats that I hear, but they're not. It's not like a script that I follow word for word. And so I'm kind of reintroducing that into what I do now. Still a lot of it is like discovering things. Like I still have gigs where I'm like, I'll go if it's a gig that I know it's really safe and supportive, I will go on stage with no plan.
Yeah.
And then often if I record them, I'll watch them back, and it'll be like I will discover things in there that I can then take away. And then it might be like, and then I've got like the skeleton of something which I can then like write into.
Yeah.
And then the next time I do it, it's just extended, you know.
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm building it out. But some of it is now being more fleshed out with like actual like writing a bit of script for some parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that feels good, and because I'm arriving at it from a different angle, it's not like it started as a script. It means that when it comes out of me, it doesn't matter if it's word for word perfect. I think that was always my issue. Like I've got this idea that I've got a bad memory,
right?
And when I was doing scripted stand up, I felt like it was too stiff, and I didn't feel like I was alive to what I was saying. So because I've kind of come at it from a different angle, it now feels like, oh, that's that bit, and these words are things that I could mention it in that bit, but it's not the end of the world if not all of those words come to me in the moment. Yeah, you know. But I know that there is a kind of that bit can kind of progress.
Yes.
And that's felt rather than, I think it got to a point where the show that you saw me do in Riverside Studios last year, where it was like, you know, at that point it was still very much like the bits were like the chocolate bit.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and then we'll see what happens in that part. And
Okay.
whereas now it's like it's more of a kind of architecture
Right.
that holds it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you've sculpted it a bit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
nice.
I think so, but still like very loose. And the nature of the show is that like it is open ended and it doesn't have a prescribed like ending. You know, the kind of direction of the show is sort of informed by what happens in the room. So
that's the point of it, isn't it?
yeah.
To be living. It seems like a theme throughout your whole existence is like how to live with uncertainty. How to that is the case. That the grids that we impose in some ways are artificial anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you navigate that terrain? And it seems like I know there's a big community element to your show as well.
Yeah.
And like that seems to be one response, I think, that you seem to highlight.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think there's I've had moments in my life where I think I've been quite overwhelmed, scared by a kind of nihilism.
Oh yeah.
Of like, what does any of this mean? You know, and you can I've got kind of lost in that space.
Yeah.
And so you have to find like orientating structures that you can that can ground you, right, whilst not attaching to these kind of delusions, these like false structures, wherever they may be. Like, what should I be doing with my life? Like, you know, what's a good life look like? You know, all these different things that we attach to, like. So how to be free while still being solid in the world and participating in the world and feeling connected, you know. So like community, like I guess with the show, but also I guess in a way like surrendering to like to this journey you're on, like being open to it, and I mean, I don't know, I guess I don't consciously think a lot about. I'm not intellectualizing what I do on stage so much.
Yeah.
It's just sort of coming through. But there's definitely, I mean, a desperate yearning to feel part of something bigger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you feel that as a yearning.
Yeah, definitely. But also, like, you know, like I'm part of this Buddhist community. Shout out Brixton Buddhist community.
Yeah.
True right now. They'll be watching. Very supportive people.
Yeah, that's good.
And you know, it feels great to be part of a sangha.
Yeah.
That where like a kind of like that kind of yearning for a deeper relationship to life is shared, and you can help each other in building that. You know, and also like a space where you can practice being a kind of better, higher version of yourself. Yeah.
Hello there, just a quick pause to say if you're enjoying the Bardo podcast and you want to keep it going, best way to do that is at patreon.com/the Bardo podcast. There's also a link in the description. You can give £5 a month or whatever you like, and it genuinely does help me and keep making these. Thanks to all those people who are supporting already, I really appreciate it. All right, let's get back to the conversation. What I'm finding interesting is it sounds to me like you're talking about how to be grounded but also groundless, you know, at the same time. So it's living in this open way but not getting lost within the openness, because when we open up a little bit and we start to see that things aren't as solid as you said, as even like this identity that we attach to, I want to be this, that's going to be the thing that I'm contingent on to make me happy. For example. They're illusions in some sense. They have a reality but not a fixed reality, and grasping onto it makes things worse. But within that openness, that's also scary. And sometimes it can feel a little nihilistic, because it feels as if like, whoa, what does all this mean then? There's no like stories to even hang on to anymore. And like, so it's like learning to be open within that and still lead from your center, from this sense of connection. And what I think is interesting about you actually, Lawrence, is that like you, even from your first gig, it seems as if you were open to whatever was happening. There was some people having a roast dinner, and you turned that into a game. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why you're a natural clown, because that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is
Absolutely.
clowning to you? How would you even describe clowning?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, oh yeah, like you know, there's people who are better placed, and I think I'm also a bit like clown feels a bit like this kind of protected space
Okay.
in terms of like who
Who?
can define it.
Oh right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a whole thing, isn't it, about did you go to Gaulier and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But for me, what it means for me,
Yeah.
and it has been this beautiful thing to discover because it really feels like it's kind of spoken to something that was already there. It's like, and I do think meditation, for example, having a meditation practice like really helps in clowning because it's all about like opening
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
letting people really see what's going on,
Mm.
and almost like connecting. For me, it's like I have to speak to a part of myself before I get on stage, which is
Yeah.
like I think is like a younger version of me.
Okay.
And the breakthrough for me in clowning was like I could be like, you can play. You're allowed to play.
Yes.
You're allowed to feel pleasure in playing, and when I really am able to speak to him before a show, the show goes amazing.
Yeah.
And I can really feel it in my body, and I think the audience can too. So it's like for me, it's about like like how a kid plays with total abandon, but with also total commitment and seriousness.
Yeah.
Like I think there's something about that, but also with like that kind of you know, like really connecting to your like human like vulnerability, naivety, that sense of not knowing, like feels like an important part of the clown. The clown is naive and
But hopeful.
At the same
Always
time.
optimistic,
Yeah,
the clown.
yeah. And so that feels to me, it kind of overlaps with like a kind of spiritual approach to life, because it's like I actually don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the rules are.
Yes.
And it's actually liberating to be like, I'm going to step into this space, giving myself permission to not know what the rules are, you know, and just play inside of that. Because I think definitely for me growing up, it was like my dad's very neurodivergent,
Right.
and took a lot of drugs and stuff, and I just watched a man not know how to exist, not know how to like respect like social norms, and like, and so I guess on some level I was always aware of these structures, and maybe like the kind of arbitrary nature of a lot of these conventions.
Right.
So it feels for me, it feels very liberating to be like, I don't even have to, I can just not even think and let something come out of my mouth and then work with how that lands, and then leave that open to the audience. Like, do they like that? And then we kind of go with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's not really. I've just got lost in the process of answering the question.
No, it's nice. You're talking about freedom.
Yeah.
And freedom seems to be for you coming from a not knowing, a naivety, like you know, there's a guy I always talk about, Robert Anton Wilson, and he said that, you know, when we know something, in a sense, we actually become a bit brain dead, because now we've got an answer and we no longer think about it anymore. We've categorized it, we've boxed it, there it goes. To remain the you know, the beginner's mind in Buddhism is about being okay in this space of not knowing.
Yeah.
But also with this optimism. Where does that come from, the optimism, do you think? Like the joy of it? Is that just the play of it? Is that just the fun of discovering stuff?
I think so. I think like that sense of like total commitment to whatever it is that you're gonna do, even if you don't know what that thing is that you're about to do.
Or it makes you look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that as a kind of philosophy generally, you know. It's like, and I've sometimes struggled to do that, like tendency of like sabotaging what I'm doing, you know. So like be like, this is my impulse. Finally, you know, it feels very like physical. This is my thing. I'm not getting stuck in the kind of machinations of my brain, trying to figure out what the best thing to do is. It's just like bam, and like that there's
Can that cause trouble
oh,
in life? Like, do you do that in your daily life? Is that more on stage? Being
um
led by your impulses?
being led by my impulses.
Yeah, would you say so in life? Are you just like, boom?
Yeah.
Yeah? In what way? Have you got any
Oh,
examples?
I've had issues with like
Mm.
being impulsive with like substances and
Yeah.
food and
Yes.
saying the wrong thing and oversharing and making, like all kinds of things that
Yeah.
have led to kind of a kind of yeah, difficult situations for me and
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah. 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 Another similarity between us.
Yeah.
Yes, we both are sober, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been sober?
It's been like since November of 2023.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like being a sober person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. It's been beautiful. Like it's it like yeah, it's I think it was like a long time coming for me.
Mm.
And there was like a few years where I was like, oh, I don't actually enjoy drinking anymore.
Right.
But I'm just habitually and like so socially like habituated into doing it. A lot of my old friends, it's what we did. When I was in the band, it was very like hedonistic
Yeah, of
times.
course. Yeah.
So it was like happening slowly.
Yeah.
And then it was a kind of it sort of became a mitro in the Buddhist order I was part of.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the important catalysts. Like
Yeah.
ended like a long-term relationship and was kind of like needed to really come back to myself. Like where am I at in my life? Who am I now? And so, and then it was just kind of like, and also like there was like a spiritual sense of like the nihilism we were talking about was kind of coming quite strong when I was drinking.
Yes.
And it was kind of coming in quite like dark in a dark way. There were moments where I was like, wake up in the middle of the night and I look out the window and it would be like, oh, is the universe dead? It would come to me like a really strong like sense of
what do you mean by dead?
like, is it inert? And we just, what is it even, what my alive, it's almost as if when I was hungover, my aliveness, the sense of aliveness and the thing that connects me to everything else was severed.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like, so I'm just like this living conscious thing in this inanimate universe. And that was just like a deep, deep terror would accompany that feeling. And I just thought, I need to do something to nurture my aliveness rather than to nullify it, which is what drinking felt like it was doing.
That's lovely, man. That's a lovely way of thinking about it, for sure. I was stuck in a hamster wheel for years drinking.
Yeah.
And I'd always had like an intellectual interest in Buddhism when I was younger, and I went along to the group, and back then I would always try and argue with them and disprove them because I was arrogant and I was like, what's all this? And I think I liked Richard Dawkins at the time. And I would, I'd be like, well, and like try and disprove them. And then there was just a group of good people. So a Sangha is a community. And it was just like, oh, these people are really good. And then I felt guilty almost because I felt I'm not good enough to be here. And every time I'd see Cesare, who's in episode 2 of this podcast, he leads that group, my local group there. He would facilitate it, and I treat him a bit like the local vicar. And I'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'll come next time." And he was like, "I don't care, it's fine. It's like you come if it's useful." Yeah. And then getting sober, having a meditation practice was the thing. Started meditating every single day, and now I haven't broken it for many, like over 6 years. Like I have to. That's my one thing. And having that anchor, and then finding the Bodhisattva vow. So the Bodhisattva vow is about trying to arouse bodhicitta in yourself, which is an enlightened heart-mind state of consciousness, essentially, which is natural wisdom and compassion, and extends then out not just to you but to others, and then eventually all beings, right? And having this anchor was really useful for me in getting sober, but it didn't fix me. I thought when I get sober I'd be great, and I had this Buddhist practice, but I kept making mistakes and I let people down and stuff like that. And that's why I practice. Because I will continually do unhelpful things,
Uh-huh.
also good things, but it's been so useful for me. Like, how did you come across Buddhism? How did that even begin in your life?
But that, by the way, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just
Yeah.
realised I've been talking for a long
No,
time.
but that's no, but it's like no, it's really like inspiring.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, it's like yeah, no, but absolutely, there's like a yeah, you're right. I can really relate to the sense of like, and maybe also it becomes another ego thing of like when
Big
you
time.
when you stop drinking, you become a sober person, and
Yeah.
then that becomes a new story you tell yourself of who
Yeah.
you are, which is another way of insulating yourself from self-inquiry. You know, being like, oh no, I'm sorted now.
Yeah, this is so true.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, so that, I think I'm still on that journey for sure. Like,
Well, then it's almost, you know, in Tibetan Buddhism they have the God realm, and it's these people who are puffed up, but the only way is down. And in a sense, with that spiritual pride that can come up when I'm a sober person now. Hey, I'm this Buddhist identity now.
Yeah.
Then when you fuck up, you torture yourself even more because you're like, I'm supposed to be a good person now, and I've done
Yeah.
something shit. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all, as you said, it will never stop that state of mind in some sense, which is always trying to grab
Yeah.
onto something and
Yeah.
make it mine
Yeah.
and yours
Yeah.
and make us separate again.
Yeah.
And if you look at what's going on, it's always going to make you feel, it's not going to help in the long run. It's not a good strategy.
Yeah. And I think that is a big part of the practice for me.
Yeah.
Is really simply just creating the conditions where I am better placed to notice when that's happening.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like I think even on the way here,
Yeah.
I was thinking, I now and again, I'd start feeling anxiety, and then I'd be like, why am I feeling anxiety? And then I'd be like, oh, it's because I want to sound smart on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, like suddenly I'm like existing in suddenly my reality is defined by this story that I've told myself about how I want to be perceived. You know, and like so then, but being able to catch that and be like, oh, that's a funny story. That isn't that I don't need to identify with that. Then the anxiety kind of alleviates, and you're just back with the raw materials of your experience. You know?
Yeah. It's catching it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I listened to a really lovely teaching by Joseph Goldstein. Have you come across him?
No.
I think he's like it's on the Ram Dass network of podcasts, and he was talking about the first noble truth. There is dukkha, and dukkha is sometimes translated as suffering. But actually, he was saying the actual literal translation is it's like the spoke of a wheel that won't fit. So it's like it's a bad fit.
Yeah.
So it's more like dissatisfaction. And the first in all Buddhist teachings, there's many different Buddhist teachings, but the core of it often is the Four Noble Truths, which is just that there is suffering, there are causes to suffering, and there's a way out of that suffering. And he said sometimes we don't appreciate when there is dukkha. And this was helpful to me the other day. I was feeling a bit down about something, and I noticed suddenly, oh, there is dukkha right now. That's like you said, there is anxiety, just that awareness of it.
Yeah.
And then I was able to say, well, you know, I was able to then ask what's going on. So rather than being caught up with it, I can go, well, it's because my happiness is dependent on this thing happening and it didn't happen, and I've been doing that a lot, like an identity or something that an external thing that will cause us happiness, we think.
Yeah.
Then when it doesn't work out, and I was like, well, this strategy is not going to work out in the long run. And I suddenly was like thankful that I'd been aware that there is suffering. And that's like useful just to give you a bit of distance to notice it. Look, there it is.
Yeah.
That's the first step. But so how did you enter the world of Buddhism? What happened? How did that come from?
Yeah, I've just been curious about it for a long time actually. The first like retreat I went on was like when I was like 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I can't really remember. I think I went traveling in South America and I was very interested in, and I took Beginner's Mind, that book, Beginner's Mind,
Zen
by
Mind,
Suzuki.
Beginner's Mind,
with me on that trip, and I sort of tried to teach myself how to meditate. Well, sorry that traveling around South America is such a cliche.
Yeah.
And my uncle is a Zen practitioner.
Okay.
So it was always like around
Yeah.
when I was growing up, and I I was curious, you know, he was definitely the sort of like the sane one in the family. And I was like,
Okay.
what's his like secret? Like, what's going on here? And he would like disappear for 3 months and go on these long retreats. So it had this kind of like almost like a romance to it for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was in the ether. Uh, and yeah, and so like now and again, I would receive like a book. I got like the Tibetan Book of the Dead,
Yes.
Living, Dying, from my uncle. No, actually, that was from my dad.
Yeah.
So it was like I had these kind of inputs.
Yeah.
So it was around, and I knew it was a kind of like it was like a way that you could live. But I didn't really know much about it. And then yeah, in my early 20s, I started to go on. First of all, there's a place in South London called Jamyang, which is like a Tibetan
Yeah.
Buddhist temple, and I did like a meditation class there, and yeah, it really helped. In my first few years in London, starting university and stuff, it really helped me to just quieten my mind a bit.
Yeah.
Very ADHD and like very chaotic
Yeah.
mind, and also was taking a lot of drugs.
Mm.
So it was kind of like something that could kind of cut through it
Yeah.
and just be like, just bring me back to something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been around for ages. All through my 20s, I would go on 2-3 retreats a year. But it was almost like as if Buddhism and meditation were like, it was like a medicine for me. It was almost like a salve to a kind of chaotic life that I was leading, a kind of hedonistic life, rather than like something that was like really fully integrated into my life. You know, it was almost something like I didn't really tell people about it. I didn't tell my friends about it.
Okay.
You know, and it's really, I would say, only in the last few years like that it's felt like I've been like, oh yeah, I'm a Buddhist, and that has a kind of significance on different like levels, like from how I live my day-to-day life, like my relationships and my kind of relationship to a wider reality. But yeah, it's a kind of an ongoing thing really about like what it means for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like even using the term, do they? Buddhist.
Yeah, right.
It comes with as you said, it can come with a certain set of connotations, and then maybe what can be a helpful path can also become, a limiting code. Yeah. And the whole idea is that it's a life raft, isn't it? And then when you get to the other shore, you let it go.
Right.
You don't cling on to it. But
yeah.
Do you ever notice yourself being like, I'm a Buddhist? Ever?
Well, actually, I don't think I've ever said that publicly.
Okay, right.
Other than at the Mitra ceremony.
Yeah.
No, I say it public as in like on a public platform.
Yeah.
I'm assuming people are going to listen to this.
Oh, let's hope so.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee.
So, but I know what you mean. I do know what you mean in terms of like over-identifying with a label, because that also just comes with a whole bunch of assumptions in your mind about what that means for you. Yeah. And I think actually for me, a lot of my resistance to really fully committing was like, that isn't you.
Yes.
You know, you're not whatever a Buddhist looks like. You know, and that's based on an idea of what. Yeah, like I kind of relate to what you were saying. Like when I would go to the Buddhist Centre in Sheffield, which is where I became a Mitra, which is like a friend of an order, which is basically a public commitment to being like, I'm a Buddhist now. Yeah. I had that sort of relationship to some of the order members there.
Okay.
Which was like, projecting a lot of stuff onto them, like as if they were like, something other than just other people who made a commitment.
When you get to know people.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first started going, I'd find myself talking in a certain way. I'd be like, and I'd talk in a soft voice.
Absolutely, like turn on a button, like, this is my spiritual.
Oh yeah, and my friends, at the time, I think I got sober, and for about a year afterwards, I'd get messages from people going, "Wow, you're like Buddhist," all this stuff. And then after talking to me and being around me, they were like, "You're an idiot," and that all fell away, and because they knew that who I really am is just this chaotic, foolish individual. Trying to find the way, just like we all are, right? Because people project stuff onto you as well when you say these things
That's true.
publicly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, you must think you're better than me. My aunt
Yeah,
thought that. She's
yeah.
like, does that mean you think you're better than us? And I was like, yes. No, it's not. No, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you sort of touched upon your dad a little bit.
Yeah.
Your parents were creatives, were they? Is that right?
No, not particularly. No,
Okay.
no. Like, yeah, my dad was like an old hippie. So he was
Okay.
kind of creative in the sense of like he was creative with like what he was consuming.
Yeah.
No, but like he was. My dad's a creative person.
Yeah.
My dad is a creative person, but he's not. His job wasn't in the creative industries, right?
Yeah.
My dad paints, and yeah, both my parents were creative.
And then how did you find yourself sort of entering a more political sort of space? Was that through the music or was that?
I'm not really sure where that happened. Not quite a political environment growing up, but like very opinionated family. But I don't know where that emerged. I think I just like I think I had a group of friends at school, and then there was one point where like I kind of splintered off with this like one friend, and we sort of went on this sort of journey of discovery. He's still my best mate now.
Yeah.
And then I think probably smoking a lot of weed and just being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You kind of arrive at questions, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my favorite comedian when I was growing up, for example, was Bill Hicks.
Okay.
So it was like,
yeah.
I was like, I was interested. I used to read Adbusters, that magazine. It's like very anti-capitalist like magazine. So that's all that stuff started kind of like coming in. I don't know exactly where it came from originally, but I grew up in like a village outside of town, and it was very like kind of small town mentality, and I was like very resistant to it, and so there was something about like feeling like, is this it? Is there more? Why is it that the sense of like, why is it we need to live like this?
Yeah.
That was quite a strong feeling even when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of informed then suddenly this kind of questioning about the system. However simplistic, I was thinking about that stuff then.
Yeah.
And then I studied anthropology at university, and that kind of helped me to was very like radicalizing experience.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of I don't know if you know David Graeber.
Yeah, I love
He was
David
teaching
Graeber,
on my course. Yeah, so he taught me, and at that time it was like it coincided with like the kind of student protests when they put the fees up. So there's a lot of like occupations, and so we would like get our classes. We'd have our classes at the Occupy.
Okay.
At St Paul's, and
I had no idea you studied with David Graeber.
Yeah. So that was amazing, and also Mark Fisher was there at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
So there was like lots of really interesting thinkers knocking about, and so there'll be a lot of public lectures as well, and so that, and anthropology itself as a discipline has had to be very self-critical because of its origins and connections to like colonialism.
Yeah.
So it's very aspects of it are very like radical.
Yes.
And so that experience. I was also involved in Climate Camp, which is like a climate protest movement back in the early sort of mid 2000s. So I had like quite a lot of different experiences of being like in protests and campaigns, and then after that I was just like finished university radicalized, being like, well, what do I do now? Like, how do I engage with the world? Seeing friends it's quite a common pathway to go from like anthropology then to go into like international development or something like that, and that had all been quite deconstructed for me. That was a kind of a way to kind of just replicate the system and the kind of unequal relations between the global north and south. So I was just like, what do I do now? So me and a couple of friends, we just we took on a space in New Cross. I went to Goldsmiths in New Cross, and then we sort of made that into a kind of social centre with the idea of like bringing like kind of the criticality of the university into the community, and then trying to build a space there that could like respond to like the needs of people there. very like lofty aspirations.
Yeah.
But also a place where campaigns could happen and could be supported. And yeah, we were interested in the commons and sort of Silvia Federici and
Yeah.
thinking about how to like sort of collectivize reproduction. Our kind of like, how do we sustain our lives together?
Yeah.
Sort of like a sort of thinking about ways of like a kind of post-work
Yeah.
kind of critique was built into our. We had a collective called the New Cross Commoners,
Nice. Okay.
and so we were running that space together basically, and
Yeah.
we'd get like academics from the university to come and talk. We were like running a lot of kind of sort of collectively run services, community kitchens, stuff like that, advice services, and then also we supported a lot of campaigns happening, housing campaigns, and we were also like and involved, and then from that kind of like I thought we did a lot of kind of community organizing as part of that, and realizing that that's a kind of skill set, that's something that's we need to like learn how to do. How do you go and get people involved when we were basically all white, you know, university students? Like, how do we build a more diverse group so that we can actually like work together and improve people's lives together? So I trained as an organizer then, and then that kind of carried on with that work. After that project lasted for about 4 years, and then sort of carried on doing that work, but in other settings, and
Have you ever seen on YouTube, there is a lecture with David Graeber, and the whole time the comment section is great because he's got a cup of coffee in his hand, and the lecture goes on for an hour. And he never drinks the coffee.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And everyone in the comments, no one's talking about any of the content of what he's talking about. They're just going, when is he going to drink that coffee? And then it says like 45:26, he goes to drink it, and then he puts it down. He just never drinks it. It's really funny.
He's an incredible guy. In fact, the first time I actually met him was like I was on the bus to Copenhagen for the COP 15 summit with climate camp, and it was like one of the first times I'd ever done anything like that, and it was this like American guy like talking really loud, like like sharing all he had like really interesting things to say, but the journey was like 12 hours, so the whole time I just heard this, and I was like learning so much three rows away from this guy, and it turned out that this was David Graeber, and he ended up becoming he was like my teacher, but he was interesting because he was someone like, you go to his lectures and like they would flow, they'd go in all kinds of different directions. He had this ability to kind of convey complicated ideas very simply, right? But also he wasn't particularly great as a teacher,
right?
Like he wasn't, because it was almost like he was up here, and we were like, we were down here trying to like grapple with these complicated ideas, and it wasn't so straightforward for us to kind of meet, but to watch him speak, and he was always around. He was all the things, all the protests. He was there. He was like, really got his hands dirty. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
What do you think your like main takeaways were from organising in those times? Because something we spoke about before is that you're often there's a thread of you trying to integrate all of these disparate parts of you, which I think I want to talk to you about something in a minute, the rhizome and ADHD, some connections that I think might be useful. But what sort of takeaways do you think you have from that space, that time?
It's quite a lot of stuff. I mean, I think I mentioned something earlier on about I was in a lot of groups where there was a lot of people's own stuff, unprocessed stuff playing out in like the group, and so it became very difficult for us, like this kind of aspiration for like utopia was, I think, in some ways also a kind of escapism from reality, because actually people were kind of in a lot of pain, and people didn't have the tools to really grapple with that. So I think that's why I took this route into Buddhism, because, but also then therapy as well, like trying to understand myself and understand what am I bringing into these spaces, because also those cultures in that time as well, they were quite dogmatic, and it was quite like black and white. It's like you either think this set of ideas, and you're on side and you're one of the good guys, or you think this and then you're a racist or you're whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I always felt like that was very divisive. And then when I came to doing my work in Yorkshire, and I was working in places where there was quite a lot strong far right groups, it was really important for me to go in with some non-judgment in order to have conversations with people and build a sense of connection and win people's trust, who maybe initially we might have disagreed. So I say that, and then you look at what's going on in America right now, and it's like sometimes it's absolutely important to call that out directly for what it is. So but there's something about the kind of humanity of organizing together and building groups of people who maybe don't always agree on everything, and non-judgment, connection. Community organizing often felt like it sat alongside Buddhism in many ways, in a way that now clowning also seems to. It's like there does seem to be something that kind of runs through all of it.
Can you verbalize what that thread is?
Well, I guess it's something like often the kind of over-identification with ideas, I am a leftist, for example, even though it might be that there's essential truths within those ideas that you really identify with. To over-identify with the concept of being a leftist, for example, automatically just creates an unnecessary division between you and other people. And I think this thing about over-identifying, with like you say, a self, I'm this person and therefore this is what I do and this is what I don't do. Can be can be a barrier for actual connection with people, and without connection, how we can't build anything, whether it's building something with an audience, or whether it's building something with a community of different people with different experiences and views.
Yeah, totally. Thank you, man. That's a really beautiful answer. And that's a really nice transition now into, let's talk a little bit about neurodivergence and ADHD. And I've been thinking, in fact, exactly what you said about this over-identification. I've been thinking a lot. We did a podcast about the meta crisis, and we spoke about the rhizome. Do you know the rhizome? Deleuze and Guattari. For those that don't know, the rhizome is. So I'll contrast it to what we could call arborescent thinking. So arborescent thinking is like a tree, and it's often it's linear, and it's A to B to C. And then the rhizome is more like a decentralized network. And so it's used often like ginger, the roots of ginger. They have no central point. Each point is just as important as the other. You said to me, you sent me a message saying that you're trying to integrate stuff. And you said to me that it seems like you're integrating things or something. But I think you are too, because I think you are the way you are. And I think if you think of integration as in it needs to be that I'm doing this one thing, or as you said, over-identify, I'm now a leftist, but you're not, you are a rhizome. And ADHD, I think, is quite an interesting example of that, levels of connections, although there's no central point with that. So, I mean, how does your experience of ADHD, can we talk a little bit about that? Is that all right? How it manifests in your life? And...
First of all, can I just say that, the stuff I was saying about you being integrated, is what I find refreshing. Is that as a fellow comedian, you're out there, through this podcast and through the different things that I've seen you do, this kind of putting your full self in what you do, so sometimes I've seen you do comedy, and there's vulnerability, and there's you're talking about real things, and not sacrificing that for a cheap laugh, you know what I mean? So that's I find that inspiring. I find that inspiring that you're doing that, and you're kind of like mapping out the kind of coordinates of this space that you want to explore. And yeah, for me, it's been a bit like watching that. It's like, oh yeah, you can do that. And again, it's like the label. If I call myself a comedian, therefore there's a certain expectation of what
I
that
used to
looks
feel
like.
that, yeah.
You know?
I used to think I have to do comedy stuff.
Yeah,
Then I thought, well, I love doing comedy,
yeah,
but I also am interested in lots of different things, and that's all right, isn't it? And I think you can just be you. You don't have to just be, That was all. It was a very simple thought process. But yeah, so but returning back to you, like in terms of how do we begin to live with, in the terrible moment, which is what you described it as to me before, like the terrible moment. And you've spoken to me before about ADHD and some difficulties you have with that. But when I was talking about the rhizome, I was also trying to maybe highlight how there's strengths to that too, in that way of thinking. So how let's should we talk about that? I don't know how to ask the question.
Strengths of being able to kind of hold complexity. And
because neurodivergence is quite a big part of your show, I think.
I think so. I think so. I think there's something about embracing that, like a kind of ease with not knowing and with being able to be open to multiple things at the same time. That is that I find, in a way, I've kind of created this thing through my comedy and the show that I'm creating. It's a bit like when I speak to my therapist, he's like, oh, it feels like what's going on there is like the integration is happening there, and maybe it's maybe not always happening in other parts of your life, because sometimes it's hard to fully surrender to that when other people have certain expectations of you, and you don't want to upset or to transgress those. So you end up kind of trying to fit into something that's more restrictive, to sort of please other people or to fit into other people's ideas. But but definitely there's definitely something about like finding ways, finding methods of like I say, opening to the unknown, like being able to like respond in the moment. Another thing, I think I got this diagnosis of ADHD like
when did you get
that? Was like around the same time that I became sober.
Okay.
And it's also been a bit of a journey.
How did it land? I've struggled with that myself. Maybe I can tell you about that in a minute, but how did it land with you?
Well, I think partly I'd already been telling myself and other people that I was ADHD, like my last job, in my last relationship.
Okay,
and part of me wanted some like validation of being like, have I been making excuses?
So for a set of challenges that you were having, you wanted something to explain that a little bit, so you could be you could feel understood, perhaps.
Exactly. But then at the same time, I also then had this kind of like sort of salvation of medication that hanging above me, and I thought, oh, once I have that, then I'll be okay, and I'll be able to operate fully, and I'll be able to achieve all the things that I've wanted to achieve that I haven't been able to up until now. And I think that became quite medication didn't work for me.
Okay.
It actually it sent me into a bit of a kind of anxious spiral, disassociating spiral. I felt very like disconnected from my emotions, even though I've been doing a lot of work to try and connect with them. So I had to let go of that whole story that it was going to be the salvation that I was looking for, and then since then it's been a question. It's been me trying to explore, like, okay, what's it mean? Like, I don't want to don't want to over-identify with this label of ADHD, but I also don't want to just disregard the fact that it seems to speak to the specificity of my reality to some extent, and that helps me to feel some compassion towards myself. And I'm still swimming in that, really, like, and trying to find other ways that help helped
Right.
me. I do a lot of, I don't know if I should say this on the podcast.
You can,
I
if you want me to chop
do a
it.
lot of like psilocybin, like microdosing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's helped me
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
to stay connected here, whilst also being open to the complexity and feeling, and it helps me connect to my creativity too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an ongoing thing. How about you?
Similar. So when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and we're not sure because we went to NHS first. Well, basically, I struggled when I was a kid. Parents got divorced at a young age. I had I loved my dad, but he had really bad temper, and then he slammed the door and my finger got chopped off and stuff like that. And then when I was young, and then my stepdad came in and he was a bully, and he also was a bad role model.
Yeah.
So it was around these kind of difficult men. And then I would have like a bad temper when I was a kid. I'd have meltdowns and stuff. And like if I couldn't find something or something wasn't correct, I'd smash my room up. I just couldn't control it. And my mum, basically, one time I came downstairs, this is a famous story, I think I was about 8 years old, and Princess Diana had died. And my mum told me, and I didn't cry. And she said, there's something wrong with this kid. We need to label this kid immediately. Wow, and I think my mum thinks there's a whole generation of people that I think are neurodiverse because they didn't cry when Princess Diana died. She's like, they're dyslexic. Do you know what I mean? But so I went to the NHS and they said he's immature. He doesn't have it, he's immature. And they gave me some Ritalin. And that didn't really do anything. I remember my dog took it and just slept for the day. Accidentally, the dog took some, just slept for the whole day. It didn't affect me. The Ritalin didn't do anything.
Wow.
And then she took me, my dad had a health plan, so we went to a private psychiatrist. And she said that, yes, your son has Asperger's syndrome.
Okay.
Mild, but I know it we don't use those terms anymore. Now it's like autistic spectrum condition.
Yeah.
So I was always like, I don't think so. I just rejected it. And then I think I still am not sure what my relationship to it is. Like there's people that I'm often in relationships with me who are like, you have that. Like there's things I'm very routine. I have to do a lot of different things. I'm quite compulsive, especially around managing anxiety. I use a lot of lists, but it's quite fixated. And then I drank for many years, maybe to mask it.
Yeah.
And I get exhausted when I'm around, but I guess a lot of people do. I couldn't make eye contact for years, stuff like that, right?
You're great at it now.
Thank you, yeah. But I feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I overthink it, I can't do it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And then I get intrusive thoughts as well.
Yeah.
I actually take medication now, which helps me a lot.
Yeah.
But, and meditating and stuff. Anyway, long story cut short. I had a very difficult relationship with it because there's still so many jokes about autism. Like, oh, that's autistic or whatever, like he's autistic. And I remember I was with an ex-girlfriend and I went to I was at their farm, their family farm, and they were lovely, but the mum, they were like, oh, Mark can go wrap the bales of hay, because they like that, don't they? And then my ex was like what? And she was like, autistics, like that. Oh. So I felt like this sense of, and she was trying to be nice. And so she called it out. She went, no, I was trying to be nice. But this sense of feeling othered by it.
Right.
And so there's a shame around it.
Yeah.
And then also, there's a lot of comedians, you see them talking about these experiences. And I feel like, I don't think that is my identity. Yeah. I don't think I am an autistic person in some sense. I'm me, I'm whatever I am.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to take up that label either, because then I feel like people be like, well, you don't seem autistic. People say that all the time.
Yeah.
You seem normal,
Right.
And, but then, when I'm struggling with stuff, I'll say to Zoe, my girlfriend, it's not my fault, I'm autistic.
Yeah.
But that is because
Keep
I'm
it in your back pocket.
Yeah. But then she's like, oh, well, are you or aren't you? So I'm in this liminal space where I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that I have, like everyone, I have challenges. And sometimes it's a useful label to help me. And sometimes I find it othering and confusing. Or like I'm taking on something that I didn't earn.
Right.
you know. So it's a very complicated relationship as well.
Yeah.
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 So that's my experience of it.
Yeah. No, I totally relate. I totally relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe there's
Did you cry when Princess Diana died? Did you
I
remember?
remember what happened. I was on holiday in Greece,
Okay,
and I would get up really early to they sold these really lovely donuts, and it was
Okay.
like, so I got up real early to get the donut. Got the donut. It was on the TV. It was being announced, and I just ran back to my parents. I was just like, welcome them up. They're like, "Wow!" They're probably
I
like
need
a big
another
night.
donut.
Yeah. First of all, have you got any money? Secondly, Princess Diana is dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a big moment.
It's a big moment.
Yeah,
it's a big moment.
yeah, kind of collective grief. Yeah. Should we dig into that a bit more?
Well, yeah, we've done Epstein, we've done Diana. Hello there, quick break to let you know that I've started a small online meditation group on the 2nd and 4th Sundays online. No experience necessary, all are welcome. We've done a couple so far, they've been really very nice. Good way to start a Sunday, very wholesome. If you'd like to join, just you can find me on Instagram at marcsalmoncomedy.com or through the Patreon. Send me a message and I'll send you some more details. Let's get back to the chat. Let's talk a little bit about, because God, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but like something you finding individuality within these collective spaces.
Yeah.
So political spaces, you said there's a sense sometimes of over-identification, which are useful. They're useful signifiers for us to connect with others. And
on some level.
They're heuristics, aren't they? They're shorthands. But, you know, we also need to hold them lightly.
Yeah.
You know? But in Buddhist spaces as well, we were talking about there's a certain set of assumptions when you go into a Buddhist space or you're around Buddhist people. Often there's certain signs and signifiers that you use. There's codes, there's ways of being with each other.
Yeah.
You know, you might not swear at each other. You know, you might see your mates from back home. You're like, you're all right, you know, but you swear at them. Everyone's like, what's the hell? Oh, my goodness. Oh dear.
Yeah.
We'll pray for you. It's not like that, but you know, we were talking about maybe a sense of, I don't know if you want to get into this, but there could be the difficulty sometimes of being in a Sangha and also having like radical ideas.
Yeah.
I would argue that the Buddha was a radical.
For sure.
Is it okay for me to touch upon this? You said that there's maybe a conformity sometimes in Buddhist spaces.
The reason I brought that up again was because, with you, because it's something I'm trying to figure out at the moment, right? In terms of like, the historical moment we're living through feels like it demands action. Yeah. And yet the sort of spiritual community that I'm part of, it's often, it feels like the kind of advised response is to cultivate metta. Yeah. And
metta means loving kindness.
Yeah. And of course that is vital, right? But that like it can lead to a kind of like inaction. Yeah. Or and my fear, I think, of being involved in a spiritual community of any kind is that like that there's a movement away from the world and a retreat inward and out and like outside of the world rather than being fully committed to the world. And so sometimes you're in a situation like, you know, I would say at the moment we're living through a moment where being like passive is a political choice, you know, and like we talk a lot about the relation that there's a distinction between the spiritual community and the kind of spiritual community we're trying to build and what the foundations of that are. Essentially, it's like these true individuals can thrive within a spiritual community, as opposed to like having a relationship and orientation towards the group, which might be like the nation or it might be like leftist or whatever. And I was thinking about that and I was thinking about how actually sometimes that group think can still be present within the spiritual community in an unconscious way. And
we spoke about over-identifying in certain groups, and there's a need for that. They're heuristic, there's a shorthand. You know, like I have this particular set of politics. Maybe you do too, and we can connect there. Same with like different spiritual communities. But How do you think we maintain a sense of individuality within those communities where maybe there's some conformist tendencies? One way I've understood it is that in the Bodhisattva vows, one of them is that if you were to disrupt the Sangha, that's a negative thing. But you have to weigh up, you have to use your wisdom to think, is the level of disruption appropriate to what needs to happen? And if the answer is no, this will cause more disruption than good, then maybe you shouldn't disrupt. But if there is more good and then you need to disrupt in a certain sense, maybe then you should do the thing that could cause disruption. So like everything, there's no black and white answer. But like, how do we, because I think the Buddha was quite radical in what he said. And there's these things like muk mindfulness, where like mindfulness is fracked from its true spiritual origin and used to perpetuate capitalism. And like you know, meditate to be more focused so you can do your job more productively. You know? How do you think we can navigate that space?
I think I can just talk from my experience, I think, because I find the more I cultivate a relationship to my heart, there's a kind of navigating device for me, you know, and being less propelled by a sense of what I should be doing or thinking from the outside, and listening to that to me is you know, that's like a source of knowledge, source of wisdom that can tell you the answer of how you feel about a situation, and you can act from there. You know, and like when I lose that, and I feel like culturally, you know, we're encouraged to lose that, to sever that connection, to not trust it, especially as men. You know, to not trust our heart and our emotions. Which is, I think, the thing that connects us to everything. You know, is where how we feel compassion and solidarity. Then we are so susceptible to being guided in whichever direction. Like as in steered. You know, steered by whoever has an interest in steering us. So for me, it's like if I'm there, if I can come back here and I can really allow myself to feel, and I see images of, you know, whatever it is, ice, in Minnesota, killing, you know, there's it's very I can trust my response to that, and then I can act from that place, you know, and like that feels to me like a very radical thing to do, rather than it being purely like just sort of self-involved. Kind of way of just making myself feel better so that I can exist in this system, you know.
Maybe sometimes we need to do that a bit.
Also,
because
for sure.
we can't, you know, it's both, isn't it? It's inside and outside.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we can't, you know, we could go live in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, just me and you.
Should we go live in the woods?
I'd like this. Let's finish this up.
And
then Epping Forest. Let's do it.
So I like the stories of like the old, you know, Mahasiddhis and stuff, and like Talopa and Naropa. Like they're just these old sort of Tibetan yogis who are just wandering around with like a fish in their mouth, like naked. You know, like this crazy wisdom and stuff like that. And you know, sometimes you go into the space, you go into the monastery, and there's a reason. There's a solemnity. Is that the right word? To it, but there's also a space for like craziness. You know? And I think that's why clown can fit neatly into that role. There's many Zen clowns. Bernie Glassman was a good example of that. And using a different, they call it skillful means to wake people up, and using like stupidity or insanity in a way to like shake people from these structures.
That feels like a very powerful tool, and is also used by you know, people who want to control us too, right?
It can be used
The
very
Joker
destructively.
is like a very
Yeah.
that kind of charisma
Mm-hmm.
that can really seduce people into
Yeah.
it. So yeah, like
So then it
it's a
comes back to what you're saying, like being centered in some sense, having an inner wisdom, like following from your heart, can help you navigate these spaces where you don't know what the heck's going on anymore.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also I think when you're connected to that, I had a experience. Can I talk about peyote? I had a peyote experience in the summer.
Yeah.
Like I did this ceremony, and
Okay.
it was this kind of realization. I really felt like, oh wow, like that real solid connection here is severed, and I was just purely interested in what was out, what other people were thinking of me,
Yeah.
what people wanted from me, and the connection here is what I'm trying to say is like that after that ceremony, I just felt like a real lightness, because I was like, this thing is like, it's there always, and I can just trust it, and that is so reassuring to the point where in that moment it was like, oh, there was nothing to be scared of, and with that comes lightness. I was like, I could just drink in the world,
Yeah.
it was just there for me, and so it feels like there's a that's the relationship, it's like empathy, connection, and and lightness, which is where the play comes, it's like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you have that lightness, because I've recorded this and I'm going to be sending that to the police. Shouldn't be doing that stuff. But yeah, but you're right. That is where the play comes from. It comes from, that lightness, that levity. What I think we're talking about there then is like clown as a way of breaking habits and stuff like that. Do you you said to me, I don't know if it's enough to be in this moment a person with a subtle political message. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the voice note.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm
You're wrestling with.
yeah, I think so on some level.
Do you think I don't think anyone has to do anything. Do you know what I mean? I was just going to say, like, do we have to be political in this moment? Like, I think sometimes there is a space to call things out, but there's also a space to find connection and build things together and alternatives.
Yeah.
In whatever way that might look, is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
When there's destructive things happening in the world.
Yeah.
Often people describe karma as two trees, like, that are growing. And, like, you can have, let's say, negative karma and positive karma. And if you put more energy into the positive one, it's going to grow. And the negative one's going to wither and die away. So
for sure.
I guess it's the same in our embodied actions in the world, right?
Yeah. 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 It's like feeding a groundswell of that celebrates life in all its manifestations, rather than whatever the other thing is right now, which is a descent into more closing down, more being in opposition. And so I think there's definitely, I mean, for sure, I think that just creating spaces where people can play and feel light, but also like witness something being expressed, which is like the stuff that I'm trying to do is like trying to subtly say it's okay to not know what's happening. It's okay to not know where this is going. It's okay, to I don't know, I'm hoping that they witness this person on stage who is like clearly kind of confused and maybe even lost, but finding some sort of joy and pleasure along the way. That there's something in that can be at the very least reassuring.
And we need a lot of that at the moment. We need to help each other and reassure each other. At the same time, there's so many positive things that result from negative things. And that's not to say bring on the negative things, but just to
Yeah.
highlight the resilience of humanity against things like fascism. People are having to constantly, like a rhizome, move and change their tactics in real time and spread that out throughout communities. And you can see how many people came out in support. And it's like, there's some hope there. There will always be others. We're not alone.
Yeah.
There'll always be others out there that you can connect with that will stand up and say no. But at the same time, there's also others who are interested in deconditioning themselves from these structures through things like methods like play or a spiritual practice or just a getting together in a community and, you know, Dalston Solidarity Kitchen. I don't know. There's so many different ways that we can do this. You know, deprogram ourselves from this destructive, you know, pattern that we've fallen into as a species in many ways. It's not the way we have to be.
No. And I think as Buddhists, I think that's quite that we're in contact with with an important truth, which is that like this thing that can feel so all-consuming, this reality that can feel all-consuming, and there's no way out of. We through our practice can we know that like actually this is just another thing that is created, and we can transform that and through our actions.
And if you think about what will happen at the moment of death, you will, you know, come to the moment of death, and then you will see your life, and it will be like a dream, and it will be like, you know, that moment when you wake up in the morning and you go, oh, all of these elements that you dreamt throughout the night, where are they now? And that's the kind of nature of things. And I think you're pointing to that these things we take as real and as solid. It's very important, though, that within that, this is why the Buddhists talk about the middle way, and that we don't spiritually bypass everything and just go, nothing's real, man. Because that's a danger, because there is a reality to it. It's just not the reality. One thing I'm thinking a lot about at the moment is that where do we start from? Well, it's here, now. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be like really, you know, we're all just humans trying together. All of us make mistakes. All of us do good things, you know. We can build that a little bit.
Beautiful. You know, in a weird kind of way, you were saying earlier on about like, you know, it's like we're in a, when things are difficult, when things are hard, that can also be an opportunity. And it does feel a bit like with the kind of weirdness, with the kind of depravity, with the kind of outright kind of like, you know, gloves off kind of fascist imperialistic tendencies, like it's almost like the system that has been kind of like had a mask on of being kind of like humane. It's really just been revealed for what it truly is. And so suddenly you know, there's like I was going to say something then. I was going to there's no turning away from that. You know what I mean? There's no turning. In the past, we could kind of find a way to kind of make it palatable and be like, oh, I guess we can just kind of crack on. But it's like it feels like we have no choice but to face that and draw on everything that we have in order to be able to. And so the stuff we've talked about, like the lightness, the play, the possibility of being like, oh, to really meet it for what it really is and recognize, oh, this could really be different. You know, like maybe we are moving into a different time where, you know, the whole Mark Fisher idea of, you know,
capitalist realism.
Well, it's like, well, harder to imagine the end, easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. And it sort of feels a bit like that might be shifting, because it's like we're kind of really seeing this thing for what it really is, maybe for the first time.
And a lot of people are. And they're disgusted. And they can see that it's not going to, the mechanisms that prop up the system are not going to change the system, and they're not going to challenge the structure of the system itself.
because I think I am in a moment now where I'm like, if I'm totally honest,
Yeah.
I don't know what there was a time in my life where I thought I knew what the solution was, you know, and then it was just a case of like making that argument.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm a bit like, I don't really know what the answer is, but I definitely know it has to involve people and working together to build a world that's like built around what people care about collectively, rather than what we're taught, what was, you know, being imposed. And so like, but what that means technically, I think we you know, there's a different kind of bigger shift that's required culturally for us to get there. But like, yeah, I'm just a silly clown.
I like this idea of, I was big into this idea of like metaprogramming yourself for a while. And, you know, like you can use psychedelics or meditation or whatever to like decondition yourself, let go of some of your conditioning that's unhelpful. So let's say like maybe negative scripts that you took on from childhood or, you know, like stuff like that. And I think actually, I guess your show in a way, hopefully this doesn't sound pretentious, but I feel like you're in a process of constant metaprogramming, and hopefully with the audience too, that there's a symbiosis there, and it's happening together in that connection. So I think that in transforming ourselves, we can also be transformed as well by others too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And also, you know, just like in the relationships that we have with each other, there are always spaces, opportunities for transformation. You know, like I've definitely felt that in recent years, as I've kind of felt like I'm sort of healing from not just difficulties of growing up, but also kind of like feeling like healing from the kind of the cultural, social, that kind of manifests in your own individual experience. You know, like that, like as you start to heal from that, like I say, connect to something that's true, that's loving, that allows you to open to everything else. Then when you have relationships with people, you can forge relationships drawing on that same groundswell, you know, and like and that's another transformational space, for sure.
Relationships, Ram Dass used to say, is the vehicle for our awakening in some sense.
Yeah.
We can't awaken without others. We need them to show us where we're caught up with our own stories or like habits and stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And I guess it's the same even with these destructive world leaders that we have. That's an opportunity for us to say, you know what? This is something that's unhelpful in the world. What's my attachment to it? How can I see it? I did a podcast with Abby Wamba. We were talking about the Zen parable of the empty rowboat. Do you know this story?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
There's like a foggy lake, and there's a guy on a rowboat, and he bashes into another rowboat, and he's furious. He's like, "What the hell, you idiot!" And then the fog clears, and there's no one in the rowboat. It's an empty rowboat, and it's always an empty rowboat. It's always, people are made up by their causes and conditions, and it's once you can see that these people are a symptom of a system that is like a destructive machine, then you're like, it's not that we just need to replace the people anymore. We need to cut through that at the root, that system, and we need to, you know, transform it. And where do we start? We start here, and then it goes out, right?
But that's all. The thing is, the only thing you can really change, really, is the one thing you know for sure that you can change anyway. Is yourself, your heart, your experience, and then you can build from there. But if you're starting from, I'm going to change the system, but you haven't really got a grip on how you're living your own life, then it's kind of a bit of a stretch. Somehow.
It is,
yeah.
But sometimes then what I worry about is people then don't want to start to do stuff because they're like, I have to be happy or perfect before I do this thing.
That's true.
You have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Like we start now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
How can we bring this back to joy then? You know, because we're sitting with these things. We don't really have a solid answer for stuff.
No,
It's
no.
been a thread throughout the whole episode. Like, how can we find joy then again? And we've spoke about connection. Is there like simple ways that we can find joy with each other, you think?
Mm.
In all this mess.
I think there's something about like, because like courage is coming up for me, right? It's like, you know, to like really show to really like show yourself, to really let something really true come through, is like courageous. You know, it's like it
Yeah.
requires vulnerability, and it feels like that's also how you connect to people, right? And I feel like in a way I'm thinking about this right now. It's like I want to let myself out, right? You know, and to be in this world, you know, rather than like this experience. Yeah, and that courage, I don't know, like that also means sometimes being okay taking a position. You
Yeah.
know, um, being able to
Say no sometimes.
to
Yeah.
say no, yeah, to like, yeah, use your own deep heart as a navigating device to be to yeah, to know when you need to speak up, to know to forge your own path through life, and that is one. I don't know, I think yeah, that I believe that it's like it's possible to be in contact with love and therefore lightness.
Yeah.
When you live your life that way,
Yeah.
you know, but also that will lead you, if you really commit to that, that will lead you to situations where you have to, yeah, speak up and meet um like harsh realities.
Yeah.
um and like I think that's where I want to get to. I want to kind of reconnect with the world from that basis, because I feel like I've been in this kind of sort of slightly apathetic place recently, and I'm wondering how to like, yeah, fully re-engage with the world. But also like in terms of when you do things on stage and people start to know you, you know, it's like, oh, like what, who am I presenting here? Like I don't want to just present just like some kind of strange version of myself that I put on social media or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to communicate as clearly as possible
Yeah.
something true of me.
Yeah.
And yeah, and but also that doesn't have to be one simple bounded thing. Like
Yeah.
there's different manifestations of that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as a clown or a comedian, like you can give yourself permission to kind of shape shift into different versions of you.
I think so. I think there is a tendency to be like, define what your persona is.
Yeah.
Put your brand online, become this one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I read a really lovely article by John Higgs about where is the counterculture now, people say. Well, the counterculture now is offline. It's experiences. It won't be documented online.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it won't be. It's through connection. It's through being messy. The big answers, the monolithic thinking, that's from the top down.
Yeah.
The real messy, locality of life is in a moment by moment basis with others. And it's finding that again. I think you nailed it when you said, I'm trying to get out, in a sense, to really go in, because, you know, we're limiting ourselves sometimes by, you know, how much do you feel, I don't know if you feel like this, it resonates. I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of being in my fucking body. I'm sick of, you know, sometimes just being me. And I want to just get out of my head.
You got a great body.
Thank you. And it's like, I guess, surrendering then, in a sense, in a deep sense, into where you said, into where it's leading from the heart. What's that really telling me? And trying to get in touch with that. And maybe that will give us the answers that we need. Where people are going to be able to see you, what you're doing.
Oh yeah. If anyone's, I mean, how long is it? It's probably going to take a while to get this out, but
Yeah.
I'm doing Brighton Fringe.
Yeah.
I'm taking my show. This Can't Be It.
Yeah, I'll be there.
For Brighton Fringe, I'll be doing 3 dates in Brighton Fringe.
What dates are you doing?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'd have to quickly have a look.
Yeah.
But
We'll put it. We'll put
in the
those
show
details
notes.
on the show notes.
Yeah. And but you'll definitely find me in Edinburgh at the Gilded Balloon
Yes.
from the 5th until the 31st of August,
And it's
2026.
an amazing show.
And it's an amazing show. You should come.
Lawrence Dodd, This Can't Be It.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, mate.
If you like that podcast by me, Lawrence Dodd, the guy who was talking about all the stuff about life and everything, and with Marc, who's my mate, and also clever guy, then you'll love my show. This Can't Be It. It's actually at Soho Theatre. What? I know. So on the 4th of June, it's at 6:45. Just after you can go, if you've got a job, which I don't, you could go straight to the venue in Soho Theatre, see me talk about all the stuff that you just heard me chat about, but in a comedy show, which is actually also fun and funny. Because I wasn't very funny enough, but I didn't want to be funny. I wanted to be real. So that was me being, this is me being funny. So if you like this kind of, you should definitely come. Soho Theatre, please come. I really need you to come. Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode. Big thanks to Lawrence Dodd for being so open and a great guest, to be honest. Just a reminder, you can go see This Can't Be It, his show at Brighton Fringe on May the 24th and Soho Theatre on June the 4th, directed by Lara Rakote. And thanks so much to all of the listeners for continuing to support the podcast, and please do share it. And loving the messages of support, very helpful. Just a reminder as well, if you want to support us financially, you can do so at patreon.com/the Bardo podcast. That really helps me to keep making these. Please share, subscribe, review. If you want to find out more information, check out marcsalmoncomedy.com. All right, we'll see you next time in the in-between. Have a good one.